What if I told you that the real obstacle between you and your dreams isn't a lack of money, a lack of luck, or your circle of contacts? The biggest divide lies in something much more intimate: how you project yourself into the future. Think for a moment. What would it be like if, even before achieving anything, you could already see yourself fully living what you desire? If your mind, instead of waiting, went ahead and inhabited that reality? Science shows that the brain doesn't clearly distinguish between what is experienced and what is intensely imagined. Visualizing yourself in the future, with details, emotions, and conviction, is like preparing the ground where the seeds of action will blossom. It is in this invisible but powerful process that we begin to transform intention into reality. The big shift happens when you stop waiting for success to appear from the outside and start living as if you're already part of it. This vision isn't fantasy. It's strategy. Those who mentally anticipate what they want create pathways, perceive opportunities, and awaken a confidence that attracts movement. Ultimately, the future isn't something distant. It's an extension of what you believe about yourself today. And when you allow yourself to see yourself as a winner, even before victory, what seemed unattainable begins to become inevitable. Many people dream big, but when it comes to action, they end up diminishing their own desires to fit within what they call reality. They want a spacious house, but only look for the cheapest property. They desire a luxury car, but can't imagine themselves behind the wheel. The truth is that the limit isn't in the external world, but in the mind. The human brain is capable of creating invisible barriers far more powerful than any material obstacle. When someone believes they aren't worthy of something, they automatically begin to act based on that belief. Thus, reality doesn't fit the dream. It's the dream that is pruned to fit a limited reality. Neuroscience reveals that how we visualize the future shapes not only our choices, but also our perceptions of opportunity. By reducing the size of our dreams, we also diminish our ability to identify paths that could lead us there. It's like navigating with a distorted map. You see only small shortcuts and lose sight of the routes that lead to our true destination. Those who don't envision themselves in a grandiose scenario will hardly have the energy and discipline to get there. On the other hand, when you project yourself boldly and vividly, your brain activates areas linked to motivation, such as the prefrontal cortex, preparing you to act toward what seemed impossible. Big thinking works like a magnet. It attracts bigger decisions, more accurate moves, and more expressive results. But there's something even deeper. Mental limits not only affect what we pursue, but also define what we accept. A person who becomes accustomed to dreaming small creates an internal pattern of reduced worthiness. And this pattern, repeated daily, becomes a kind of psychological contract with mediocrity. However, when we break this cycle and dare to imagine a bigger life, our minds begin to seek coherence with this new vision. This means that attitudes, habits, and even relationships begin to align with the expanded dream. Suddenly, doors that seemed closed become accessible. The world hasn't changed. What has changed is the lens through which you view it. From an early age, the words we hear become invisible codes within our minds. Phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," or "that's not for you," aren't just popular sayings. They function as small mental programs that install themselves in the subconscious. By absorbing these messages, children begin to create an identity based on limitation. Later, as adults, this same person tends to act according to the programming they received, unaware that their choices were shaped long before. The result is a repeating cycle. Thoughts of scarcity generate small decisions, and small decisions maintain a narrow reality. If this content is already opening your mind, take advantage of this moment and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss future videos and continue on this journey of transformation. Leave a like to reinforce this message and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Cognitive psychology explains that the human brain operates like a filter, only allowing information that confirms our internal beliefs to pass through. If someone grows up believing that dreaming doesn't fill our stomachs, the brain will prioritize evidence that dreaming is useless and ignore evidence to the contrary. This mental frequency, fueled by fear and doubt, creates a kind of automatic repetition, where the person constantly relives the same financial, emotional, and professional patterns. It's like being trapped in an invisible maze where every exit seems to lead to the same place. To break this cycle, willpower alone isn't enough. We need to reprogram the way we think, questioning the scarcity mantras imposed on us. A fascinating point. Neuroplasticity studies show that the brain is capable of reinventing itself at any age. By replacing messages of limitation with affirmations of possibility, we create new neural connections. This means it's possible to rewrite one's own story, even if it began with scarcity. When you feed your mind with visions of abundance, little by little your perception expands and begins to identify opportunities that were previously invisible. The world doesn't change suddenly, it's your internal frequency that changes, and it begins to attract scenarios consistent with this new vision. The power to transform lies not in the phrases we inherit, but in the courage to choose which ones we will continue to repeat from now on. Think of your mind as a radio capable of capturing infinite frequencies. Each station represents a possible reality. Some broadcast the sound of scarcity, others vibrate with abundance. There is no good or bad station, essentially, just different perspectives on life. The problem is that most people spend their entire existence tuned to a single frequency, believing it to be the only music available. If you're stuck in the station of lack, you only hear notes of fear, need, and doubt. This repetition creates a mental environment where even opportunities seem too distant to reach. Science confirms this metaphor. Our thoughts emit electrical patterns that shape how we interpret the world. If your mind is programmed to see limits, your brain activates filters that reinforce this view, ignoring any evidence to the contrary. It's like a radio listener who, even surrounded by hundreds of signals, insists on leaving the dial always stuck at the same point. By shifting the tuning, whether through new habits, new beliefs, or new experiences, the brain begins to activate other connections, opening up space to see previously invisible opportunities. This shift isn't magic, it's science applied to everyday life. And here's the crux. Changing stations requires awareness. You can't expect the radio to adjust itself. You have to turn the dial of your inner attention. This means deliberately choosing which thoughts to entertain, which environments to frequent, and which voices to allow into your mental frequency. When you choose to tune in abundantly, you begin to pick up on signals of possibility in every situation. Doors don't appear out of nowhere, they've always been there, just on a different frequency. And when your mind finally changes stations, reality follows suit. as if the universe begins playing the exact song you chose to hear. Coming into direct contact with what you desire is like opening a window to the future. Visiting a property beyond your current conditions, sitting in the leather seat of a luxury car, or even trying on a piece of clothing in a high-end store is neither a waste nor an illusion. It's mental training. By experiencing these scenarios, you send your brain a powerful signal. This exists. This is real. This could be mine. The sensory impact of seeing, hearing, and feeling up close activates brain areas linked to motivation and reward, as if the mind were beginning to program itself to transform that experience into a routine. Psychology calls this mental rehearsal, a technique used by athletes, musicians, and great leaders. They imagine themselves in the desired situation, but not just in their imagination. They seek real contact with stimuli that reinforce their vision. Visits the stadium before a championship to experience the atmosphere. A speaker enters the empty auditorium to test the acoustics. Similarly, when you touch the steering wheel of your dream car or walk through your desired property, your mind narrows the gap between dream and reality. The impossible begins to seem like just a matter of time and strategy. And there's another fascinating biological factor: mirror neurons. These brain cells simulate experiences as if you were already experiencing a certain situation. When you come into contact with what you desire, your mirror neurons record this experience and reproduce it as a future reference. In other words, your body begins to believe it already belongs in this environment. And when you truly believe, your mind seeks coherence, leading you to take actions that align reality with this new identity. Visiting your car, your house, or the store isn't just a passing experience. It's a rehearsal for the role you're about to assume in life. As you tune your mind to a new reality, a fascinating phenomenon begins to occur. Opportunities seem to spring up from all sides. An unexpected invitation to a meeting, a job opening that comes up at just the right moment, a project that previously seemed stalled now begins to gain momentum. Many call this luck, but it's actually heightened perception. When your mental frequency shifts, you begin to identify signs and connections that were previously invisible. It's like adjusting the focus of a camera. The scene has always been before you, but only now does it reveal itself clearly. Cognitive science describes this process as selective attention bias. Our minds can't process all information at once, so they prioritize what they consider most relevant. If you're tuned into scarcity, you'll only perceive obstacles, risks, and limitations. But when your tuning shifts to abundance and possibilities, your brain automatically begins to filter the world for signals that confirm this vision. Therefore, opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere are actually reflections of a mind trained to see them. The environment didn't transform on its own, it was your lens of perception that expanded. And the curious thing is that as you enter this new frequency, you also begin to emit different signals to the world. People begin to notice your posture, your energy, and even the way you communicate. Projects find support because your confidence inspires trust in others. Unexpected contacts appear because you now convey coherence with what you desire. It's as if the universe were a giant radar capturing internal vibrations and returning compatible experiences. None of this is magical or mystical. It's mind science applied to real life. When you allow yourself to remain in this attunement, doors that previously seemed locked begin to open one by one. Thriving doesn't mean being superior to anyone, but rather broadening one's horizons. It's having access to experiences that once seemed distant, to environments that awaken new possibilities, and to people who inspire growth. Prosperity isn't just about accumulating material goods, it's about living a life where doors open and paths become accessible. When someone prospers, they're not simply enriching their bank account, but rather expanding the territory of their existence. It's the chance to travel, learn, share, and experience broader versions of themselves. Thriving, in this sense, is about expansion, an expansion that touches body, mind, and soul. This access goes far beyond money. It manifests itself in healthier relationships based on respect and reciprocity. Prosperity is having a circle of people who add value, who stimulate ideas, and strengthen your journey. It's also about taking care of your health, not just to live longer, but to live better with energy, determination, and mental clarity. When we talk about thriving spiritually, we're talking about the ability to feel connection, purpose, and meaning. It's realizing that life isn't limited to having, but expands within being. At this point, prosperity reveals itself as a harmony between external achievements and internal fulfillment. Positive psychology reinforces that prosperity is a multidimensional state. Prosperous people don't just measure financial results, they value well-being, purpose, and quality relationships. Having access means living in harmony where resources, people, and experiences align with growth. When you prosper, you gain not only the right to enjoy new opportunities, but also the ability to multiply them by sharing them with others. That's why true prosperity never breeds arrogance, but rather gratitude. It's not about being better than anyone else, it's about being better than you were yesterday. And as you walk this path, you realize prosperity is, in fact, the freedom to live your life to its fullest. But there's a nearly invisible enemy lurking within each of us, limiting beliefs. They don't scream, they don't appear clearly, but they whisper at crucial moments. Whenever you're preparing to level up, an inner voice emerges offering excuses like, "It's not for me, I don't have time," or "I can't do it." These phrases act like mental chains, keeping you stuck in the same place, even when the path to progress is clear. It's the shadow trying to pull you back into your comfort zone, halting your expansion before it even begins. From a scientific perspective, limiting beliefs are neural circuits created from past experiences, often reinforced by fear, rejection, or previous failures. The mind, in an effort to protect itself, creates these barriers as a way to avoid pain. But in doing so, it also prevents new opportunities from being explored. It's like a defense system that, instead of protecting, imprisons. Break through these limits, the brain triggers negative memories and emotions, leading to giving up before the first step. This is why many people get stuck in repetitive cycles, unaware that the greatest obstacle lies not in the external world, but in the invisible realm of their own beliefs. That's why clearing these beliefs isn't a detail, it's an essential part of the prosperity process. Thoughts, reframing experiences, and replacing "I can't" with "how can I" are steps that reprogram the brain. Neuroplasticity shows that each new thought, repeated with intensity, opens up different paths in the mind, like alternative trails in a forest. As these new paths are strengthened, the old ones begin to lose strength. Little by little, the shadow loses power, and the voice that once said, "It's not for me," transforms into, "I deserve it, I can do it, I will move forward." And in that instant, true mental freedom begins to emerge. The path of transformation can be summarized in 3 intertwined movements like gears in a single mechanism. First, mindset. Believing deeply and imagining yourself living what you desire until your brain accepts this vision as real. Then, environment. Approaching and concretely experiencing the new reality, even if it's in small interactions, such as visiting places, touching objects, or experiencing atmospheres that expand your perception. Finally, access, embracing the opportunities that arise without allowing the shadow of limiting beliefs to sabotage the process. When these 3 elements align, magnetism is born, and life begins to respond in tune with your new frequency. Ultimately, thriving doesn't mean waiting for the perfect moment or hoarding resources until everything is secure. It means adjusting your internal dial and tuning into the right station. If you desire something, don't put it off. Close your eyes right now and imagine in detail what it would be like to have already achieved it. Allow yourself to feel the emotion of this achievement as if it were already present. Then take a concrete step, no matter how small, toward what you visualized. It may be a simple gesture, but it sends a clear message to the universe. I am ready to receive. And this message, when repeated with conviction, triggers movements greater than you can imagine. It's in that moment that life responds, aligning people, circumstances, and opportunities to make real what once seemed like a dream. The journey isn't about waiting for the world to change, it's about changing the season of your own mind. And when that happens, you don't have to chase after it. What's yours starts moving toward you. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Here, we talk about how to transform mindset into reality, and maybe the next step in your life is just a click away.